Hi friends, David here from Above AVL and Learn Christmas Lighting, and we are getting into the thick of things, right? It's display season. And one of the things you're probably going to have to do, whether you're starting new or adding props this year, is make some controller assignments. And I've got to do it here. So I thought, why not include you in on the fun, talk through, show you in the computer how I decide where to put things, how to assign things to controllers, and how to go about it here in when I'm recording this in 2025 and beyond, as long as the process still stays the same in xLights. Let's dive in. So there's going to be a couple things when it comes to controller assignments. So to lay out what we're doing here, basically in my world, we're going to look here in the computer, and I've got some new stuff this year. One, two, three, four, five, maybe five of those pinwheels. I don't even know what we bought. My son added things this year. He's been doing the sequencing. He was like, I think we should add this stuff. And I was like, okay, we can buy it. It needs pixels though. And we got these two pumpkins as well for Halloween time. So we're going to ask ourselves, okay, where do we put everything? Where do we assign everything? How do we get them done? So in the past, just like a couple random things here. Number one is I have in the past assigned, like, kind of made a Halloween layout and deleted all the Christmas stuff. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I might just leave them both in here and change the controller assignments at the time up. He also wants the Mega Tree up this year because he's doing the sequencing, and for Halloween he's like, hey man, I'm using the Mega Tree, want to use it, So we got to assign all of that stuff in basically to our controllers and make a controller swap. So first things first, when it comes to controllers and layouts, I like to look at overhead and just think about, okay, in my yard, in my display, where are there the most things, right? And any spot where there's a lot of things, I put a controller. And then we want to think about, okay, like, where do we need to have cable-free paths? Are there any locations where we can't run cables across? In the case of my display in my yard, yes, there is a walkway straight up the middle. Okay, and I wonder, this middle one might not be here, but there's a walkway straight up the middle, a sidewalk. People use it for trick-or-treating. They use it all season long. It is our front door for guests because we park around back, and so we don't, like, our driveway goes around back and we park there, so we don't actually use the front door that much ourselves, but for guests we do. Got to keep that clear, so that means I generally keep my controls to left and right. Then I also have to take this K16 right here, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to switch it over to a Genius 16. So we're just going to do that here because my Culp K16 died last season, or maybe it was actually, I pulled it out for the Music City Light Summit to just use it to hook up some pixels. Totally dead. Can't seem to solve it. Tried swapping the brain, the beagle bone. It's not happy. So we got Genius 16 in its place, so we've swapped that controller, but there's going to be some differences. I don't remember how many of the long range outputs I was using. Looks like I'm good, thankfully, because we would have problems otherwise, okay? So now what we've got to do is basically assign our new props into our controllers. So I've already done the layout part, right? So I've got a Mega Tree controller sitting at the Mega Tree. It's a Kurt controller, actually Canadian one. It's been good to me. And it has 16 outs, and my Mega Tree is 16 strings. So it's like, boom, nice and easy. Or maybe my Mega Trees, I forget. I might run my Mega Tree. I could tell you by clicking on it. We know how to use this program, don't we? Or is it 24 strings? Oh, this is bad. It's 24 strings vertically, and so I'm running them as 200s out of xLights. And so, I've got a controller there, that's 12 of its strings. Then I've got, a controller. I've got an F48 actually that hangs out usually around this porch column. Then I've got now the Genius controller. It's going to hang out around this column. Okay. And then I have receivers in these front two corners to kind of serve all this stuff here. And that is all I have had in the past. So now we've got to add some new lights in. How do we do it? Well, there's going to be a couple steps to it. So the first step we're always going to take is go, okay, how many ports are these new lights going to take up, right? And so that's going to depend a lot these days on your pixels. You used to just be able to go, okay, 150 pixels max, 50% without power injection. It worked great for bullets. My go-to for anything new, and I think a lot of you guys' go-to, are the newer style, like the NBG pixels that we've got. Okay, and we have a spec sheet on our site, which is, why it can be so helpful to you. And it tells us that at full white, this is a pixel where it's like resistor-based bullets, where, you can run them. I mean, you could plug in 1,000 pixels, right? It's just that when you get brighter colors, fuller whites on most of your pixels, you're getting higher power draw. You're gonna see at the end, especially, they're gonna start to miscolor. So bullet pixels would turn kind of pinkish. These ones will kind of turn like they'll start to miscolor. It's not really pinkish as much. It's just like they just get dimmer and they start kind of flickering a little, just a kind of a strobiness to them. And at full, again, that starts at about 250 pixels on these. Granted, these are about at full as bright as a bullet. So even though the wattage is less, they have about the same brightness. So if we're running them at 50%, that means we can do 400 or 500 pixels like no problem. And so that is then going to give us, okay, how many ports do we need, right? Because now we know, hey, if we can run, 400 pixels on a port without any power injection or anything like that, now we can go ahead and say, okay, if we're using these newer style pixels, this is how many we can run. Boom. Now we can start laying things out. So what I'm going to do is go to the controllers tab. And if you're brand new to this, then when you open up a controller and you hit visualize, this will be grayed out, by the way, if you have output to lights on. So you just got to make sure you don't have output to lights on. And you go to a given controller, it's going to be totally blank. Okay. And then your models, everything in your show is going to be over here on the left, okay? And we simply drag them over to the right. I'm not going to do this right now because I don't want to assign this. And we drag them into place. And it simply works like, I'll just show you, like this. It turns blue where you're going to assign it. And if you're going after another prop or before, you bring it to the appropriate place like so. If you're like me and you already have a lot of stuff assigned and you're assigning more, let's go to the genius here, then it's going to be as simple as clicking this hide models assigned to other controllers. You generally want to do that because it's going to hide anything that is already assigned elsewhere, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Now, actually, that's right. I had a K8. This was a bad season for my culps last year. And keep in mind, all of those culps that I had, I believe were from the first or second year that culp controllers existed. I know their quality controls have gotten better since then. This is not a shame on them or anything, and they've put in some years. Granted, my Falcon's still older. Regardless, I had a K8 in there. It died. Put in the K32. Or the K16. It died. And so I think... do I have a K32 around somewhere? Who knows? So anywho, the beautiful part about that is I have all of these open ports because I think I had these bulbs, these chroma bulbs on a receiver before. Now they're direct. And now I've got these other 6 ports that are open as well on my left side. So that's beautiful because now I can go ahead and go, okay, I know that I've got, for example, my chroma flakes. I've got 2 of those that he's added. Okay. Those have bullet pixels in them. And they have, let's see, it doesn't tell me how many nodes they have, but I think they have about 50. Actually, it'll tell me once I put them on. So it tells me I've got 50 there, got 50 there. Beautiful. So that's 100 pixels. If I run them at 50%, that's going to be a great place to be. Plus, that's kind of 2 lights. So it works, right? Next, what do we have? So next, we've got our other 2 chroma flakes. That's going to go on our other side. And then I've got these spinners. So let's go ahead. And they're 85. And so again, using the NBG pixels, it's going to be no problem to run 1, 2, 3 of these guys on 1 port. Now, all that to say, let me close this and hit save and show you some things. When it comes to wiring, when it comes to assigning controllers, generally, like, there's a lot of thoughts about this. So it's generally a good idea, like, if you're chaining multiple props, it doesn't have to be the same prop, okay, that you're chaining together. But I would say don't mix different types of pixels, right? With a lot of these pixels, they will be fine with one type of pixel feeding into another, feeding into another. Occasionally, you run into the really strange issue where some bullets, if they don't use a genuine chip, and ours do, our BLT pixels, but some out there don't use a genuine chip. They use kind of a clone microchip on them. And the problem that exists is that when they're repeating the data to other pixels, sometimes other pixels that are using genuine chips or other clone chips don't read it correctly. So mixing different types of pixels or mixing sometimes even bullets from multiple years or different vendors occasionally just flat out won't play nice. Okay. So in our layout, all that to say, I love when I can go, okay, I'm coming out of the controller, right? I'm going to spinner 1, maybe then I go to my window, maybe then I go to spinner 2, right? It's right in order. But in this case, my windows aren't bullets, they're older, okay? These guys are going to be on NBGs. And so I'm just going to go 3 spinners, have some space between them, have some extra extensions, simply because, if I want to either adjust the brightness of only the NBGs, I can do that easily. Though, actually, that shouldn't matter because there's virtual strings. But just in terms of reliability, I just kind of go, like it should work, but there's a chance it won't. I could always go ahead and change it later. And so essentially, that's what you're going to do, right? Find open ports. Okay. Decide if they're going to be ports on the controller itself or on a receiver board. And then go in, find all of these props. Like, oh, I'm looking for that 3rd spinner. There it is. Okay. Oops. Something's wrong. Oh. Nope, that's a chroma flake. Okay. No, I've got 3 spinners on there. I'm at 255. I'm going to run them at 50% anyways, so I am more than good to go. And so essentially, yeah, it really is that simple. Like you're just going to go ahead, go, okay, find my props, right? Figure out where they go, stick them there. Okay, so just to repeat the process, we'll go ahead like I've got my pumpkins, and it looks like I could pop them on the Kurt controller because it looks like they're over there. Yeah, we got open ports. Of course, you want to pay attention to the total power draw on your controller too, so just be aware of that. The estimated power draw on here, I believe, is based on bullets. So if you're not using bullets, it's going to be lower probably. So just keep that in mind. And so what we're going to do here then is go, and I'm just going to pop in my Angry Pumpkins, or Happy Pumpkin and Angry Pumpkin on there. And then last but not least, my Falcon F48 is where we will put our lovely spinners. And it looks like, hey, got some space on Pixel Port 5. Gorgeous. Pop them in here. Looks like it's the other order, so it's 4, then 5. Oops, that was 5, then 4. Rearranging is simple. Boom. Hit save. And then when your controller is connected, the last part of assigning props, the first steps, is to go ahead. When it's connected, light will turn green. If you can reach it on your network, hit upload output right there, and boom, you're configured and ready to rock. Hope you guys enjoyed this first steps video. As we get into the season, remember, if you need last minute stuff, you need some more pixels, extensions, whatever, we've got them hopefully at above AVL. We've been growing a lot, but we're bringing in way more inventory than we've ever brought before. So we want to have the stuff you need when it comes down to crunch time to be able to supply it to you, being your in-stock source. Okay. And we ship fast and we ship free over $149 via UPS or FedEx. So this isn't, some USPS slow service. This is, hey, spend $149. We're going to send it the quick way. It's going to get to you. You're going to be working on your display. You're going to lower your stress level. And we try to keep our prices really competitive as well. So if that resonates with you, we'll see you over at aboveavl.com. Appreciate you and hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.